Hey, Will, what's up? I
What's up?
wasn't sure when we were popping on. I was just waiting for my cue. What
I looked at it and I'm like,
happened?
why wasn't it popping up? And I'm like, oh, I must have left like some extra black on the end of the intro. But
All right. What a great start to our after the year show. By the way, so just for those of you who are wondering what the hell is going on, so Will made this brand new entrant video intro for this particular episode. He's like, I made the dumbest addition to the intro and I hadn't seen it at all. So I'm like, okay. And I see the little New Year's, the little thing, and that was really cute. But then it went to black and I'm like, oh, so there's something else. So the whole time I was waiting for something else to happen in that intro. But either way, I loved it. And we are here for After the Year. I'm Denise Salcedo. This is Will Washington. Will, this is our final episode of 2022. I guess I should start off by asking you, man, how have you felt about, getting to do this podcast?
I mean, first off, no, this podcast is one of my favorite. This is one of my highlights of the week. I love the fact that I get to look back at the week and remember. It helps me look forward to wrestling coming up, and it helps me appreciate what I've seen. So honestly, this has been a complete highlight of my year to have this show, and to have looked back at the stuff from this year has been to come up with my list has been something. Especially to try to find a worst. I had to really go back to figure out what my worst was because I'm like, no, it's this. This sucked. No, this sucked. And then I realized, no, I know what really sucked. And because I waited on how much of my time was wasted. So just know this is going to be a freaking good one. But how
So
are
when
you?
okay, so when you said that, because we were not sure what format we were going to do for the show, and you were like, oh, let's do our normal format except for the entire year. So I was like, okay, I clearly have to think of, different stuff to kind of, put out here, right? Because I've been putting out like so many videos, etc. So my worst actually hit me while I was doing my laundry because I was thinking about this and I even messaged you and I was like, Will, I don't know what my worst is going to be. Like, there's just been, so much that happened during the year, but I feel like the worst really has to be like something really great that was so bad it's so great it's so bad, right? So just know that my worst hit me as I was putting in dirty laundry
I can't
into
wait.
the washer.
I can't wait to find out what your worst is because there's so much stuff that you like actively hated this year. Again, I was just like going through pictures. Sometimes I'll just scroll my photos and I came across a picture when we were at Denise's house and I called her into the room because
Oh,
for
you
the maximum.
posted that picture on Twitter and I look like
Yeah.
ass, Will. I wasn't wearing any makeup yet. I had like a horrible face. I look like shit. And then next thing I know, that picture's on Twitter.
Yeah, I hold on. First off, I asked for permission before. I would never post that without
I didn't
permission.
want to be a diva and be like, no, Will, don't post that
I
picture.
literally turned my phone toward you. I said, "Can I post this?" And you were like, "Yeah, go ahead." So don't put that on me. But and that's still like my contact photo for Denise too. So every time she texts me, it's that face accompanied. It's so great. It's my favorite. No, but that was a Maximum Male Models moment, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that was like a thing Denise really hated." And but I don't know where that falls on your list because we're only doing the one thing you hated more than anything else. So this is going to be an exciting time.
I know, I can't wait. And we're obviously doing our three best. And I can't wait for that one too, because I think that one's going to be a fun discussion as well. But just a heads up, guys, before we continue on with the show, if you are new here and this is your first time being part of the show, just know that we do take part. This isn't a very interactive show. So send in your comments, take part in the chat. And if you do want to help support us and really just get me to keep, keep this show funded, really the best way to do so is by sending in super chats. If you do send in super chats, it really just keeps us going each and every single week. And on top of that, even if you watch the show afterwards, I officially enabled the super thanks button, and you can now, if you're watching the show on replay, you can also leave some love if you want on the super thanks portion of the video, but that's up to you. But seriously, let's get into the show. We actually got our first super chat of the day, and this is from Kaden C, who says, I hop Denise meeting a furry. Denise's Starbucks order, Newark be Newark. Some great memories this year. Cheers to more in 2023. I forgot that on our I think it was our first episode, Will, you taught me what a furry was.
Was that the first episode? Maybe it
Maybe the
was.
first,
I
maybe
do
the
I do recall
second.
teaching you what a furry was. Yes, absolutely. No, that's a memory I'll never forget. But I don't think it was the first. I think it was pretty early on though. Yeah, I remember all of that. IHOP in Hoffman Estates, and yeah, Denise's Starbucks order that hadn't
And
just
Jesse framed it. Jesse framed
oh
it.
yeah, Jesse framed it too. Yep, and then Newark is Newark. But yeah, there were some fun memories this year. Are you kidding me? I have plenty of fun memories with Denise alone. We went to New Japan Strong together back in that was
That's
in
when we were
January.
first getting to know each other. So I don't think people know this about how you and I became friends. Was really so we first did the Mariah Carey podcast that you and I did together, and then afterwards we did the Raw podcast. We might have done some other stuff in between, but you flew here to Los Angeles, and you were like, "Hey Denise, let's hang out," and I was like, "Okay, sure, let's go hang out. Let's go to New Japan." And I feel like that was the show where we really got to know each other because we went to go eat and we had a good time.
Mhm.
And then we went to the and here's the thing, like I I like to hang out with people that are nice and that are giving and this and that. Like you learn so much about somebody when you hang out with them. And I will tell you, there was one thing that you did, or no, two things that you did at that show where I was like, you know what? Will and I are going to be friends. This is a friendship that I'm actually going to make sure to continue with.
I have no idea what this is. I'm
So the
excited to
first thing
find
that
out.
you
Let's.
did that made me realize we were going to be friends was when we went to go get pizza.
Mhm.
I wanted fries, and but I didn't want to have the whole thing of fries, so we decided to share fries. And I was like, "That's a good person right there. Somebody who's willing to share fries with you, and only a little bit because you knew you didn't want to eat too much, but just enough." And then the other thing was, when we went to New Japan and they had really shitty food, and I think either I bought you a cookie or you bought me a cookie. Someone bought someone a cookie, but it was really nice. You might have
I,
been you. I think you bought
yeah,
me a water.
I probably did.
I
That sounds
forgot what
like
it
a me
was, but
thing.
you bought me something, okay? And I was like, wow, that was really nice of Will to do that.
That was like the first time me and Denise had like fully interacted in person. We'd been at like events, but that was like the first time. And really, it was just because I had found out a little early on, obviously, that Swerve was working that show. That was like because that was the first show out of his non-compete, and so I was like, okay, flying to LA, and I thought, well, who do I know in LA? Duh. So I hit up Denise. I was like, who do I know in LA who would even want to go to the show? And so I hit up Denise, and then yeah, we ended up going to the show, and it was dope. You weren't even supposed to originally sit with me, but Reg ended up getting a flat tire because Righteous Reg was gonna
Yeah, I
go.
forgot
He
about that. He did.
he got a flat tire on the way, so I was like, you want Reg's seat? And then you ended up sitting. We were front row, so like
Yeah.
that was actually a dope time. And then yeah, I ended up seeing you on my family vacation because I go to California. I go to LA multiple times a year because that's where I'm originally from, and that's kind of a home thing for me. But yeah, I ended up seeing you on my family vacation as well. You are one of very few people that I know via the internet who has met my entire family. You've met
Oh
my kids.
shit.
You've met my wife. You've completed
I've
the
completed the
circle.
circle.
You've completed the circle.
Your cousin, who
You,
else? Like
yeah, you've met,
I
yeah,
need to
you've
meet your great ancestors next.
yeah, but it's rare. Like very few people have met both of my kids and have met my wife, but you have done that all. And I was obviously at your wedding, so yeah, it was really like it's weird. We went from like 0 to 100 on friendship
Yeah.
because like at the beginning of this year, it was like we like kind of know each other, and then it was like oh yeah, you're invited to my wedding, and here you are talking to my parents. So
My
like, or to
first thing, it's funny too, because the first time you hit me up, I forgot what it was for. I was like, who's this Will guy? And why is he trying to be my friend?
of course, that sounds like a very Denise Salcedo thing, actually.
Yeah, but there you go. I think you nailed it on the head where you said that we went from 0 to 100. So I think that's why, part of the reason why this podcast has been so enjoyable because it's just friends talking about wrestling. And I think that people can connect to that. And obviously, we got a lot of people on here on this chat. So let's get into this show, guys, because it is 2022, one of the craziest years in wrestling. We had so much drama, so many stories that were breaking constantly. Obviously, as people that work in the space, we were up to date with absolutely everything that happened. Will, just for a quick sort of summary before we get into our top three and our worst, what did you think of the year of wrestling in 2022? Like when you look back, how would you describe this year?
A complete roller coaster. I mean, I guess a good example is the American roller coaster, right? Because like there's just so much that happened, and thinking about the places I was when certain things broke, and thinking about how this year began, right? Like a Tony Khan tweet ended up changing the entire trajectory of my year, because that ended up I wasn't even supposed to do a podcast that day. We were supposed to take January 1st off. And we ended up having to do a Grapsody because of that tweet. And that ended up being the biggest podcast I've ever done. And that, like I said, kind of changed the entire course of my year. And just thinking about how many things changed throughout the year, talking about certain guys jumping companies, releases, retirements, so many things happen. And then, like, as far as the on-screen product is concerned, obviously we've seen gigantic seismic shifts as far as the way... I say that, but then I know a lot of things have stayed the same. I was going to say as far as the way like WWE's presented, but then that was like a month. But regardless, we've seen just a lot of shifting, and it's been a crazy, crazy, crazy year. But one that in looking back at it, I do have a lot of fondness for certain things. What about you?
Oh man, I love this year. I loved it. I love the chaos. I live for the madness. The more juicy, the more newsy the year is, the better. I live for chaos. And actually, Zito Hour had a perfect comment right before I said it. 2022 equals chaos. I love it, man. I'm so excited for 2023. I'm ready for it. We got a super chat here from Mr. CJ Lilly, who says, "Hey there, Team Denise. Mad year and number one if education." For Denise is watching the Fightful highlights. Miss Subhost, how's those substitute teachers? That's an inside joke for a Fightful podcast. He also says, nice TK interview, Will. Super interesting. Love you both, even if we differ on Bray. I love it. Thank you so much to Mr. CJ Lilly for sending in this very, very generous super chat. So here we go. Let's get right into it. Will, it is time for you to share your very best of the year.
All right. I'll start with my...
your number 3 best of the year.
My number 3. So not quite my very best, but my almost best. I still think one of the coolest things to take place in 2022 happened at AEW Revolution this year. And that would be CM Punk's entrance at AEW Revolution. So, having been in the building and having been following CM Punk, pretty much, I first discovered CM Punk 2005, actually via podcasting. I was in the realm of podcasting, but I was really just in the mood to talk about WWE stuff. And I had friends who were like, my co-hosts at the time were like, nah, you need to be like keeping track of Ring of Honor. CM Punk, he's a big deal, and he's headed toward big things. He's going to be signing with WWE soon, all of that. And so I was like, okay, where do I start? And I was introduced to CM Punk, and I was introduced to the match with Samoa Joe, and pretty much everything he accomplished in Ring of Honor. We used to do DVD trading and a lot of illegal file sharing, things along those lines. But I was exposed to a lot of CM Punk in 2005, and one of the things that was synonymous with that run in 2005 was his entrance. And so a lot of people don't realize Cult of Personality wasn't like a WWE thing. That was actually his Summer of Punk theme in 2005 in Ring of Honor. And when he got it in WWE, it was supposed to be an homage to that summer. But anyway, prior to that, CM Punk had a theme. It was by AFI. And that's Miseria Canter, by the way. And when that song hit, so of course, first thing that happens on the show is CM Punk or MJF enters to Cult of Personality. Crowd boos. They're very upset about all of this. And then lights go out. And when that opening sound of the theme hit, there's this feeling in the building of what's going on. And I ended up like, I knew exactly what it was. And I remember leaning over to the guy next to me and I'm like, it's this Ring of Honor theme. And immediately he's like, oh, okay, this is cool. And the people who knew it were all singing along. The people who didn't were just in awe that something special was happening. And the fact that this happened, and it's interesting because Punk talked about the fact that this was the plan all along, right? But this just happened the week after Tony Khan buys Ring of Honor. So it was almost like a poetic way to display what was happening, the magnitude of what had taken place, that Ring of Honor its history is now a part of AEW. CM Punk being one of the most prolific names that Ring of Honor had, and seeing his legacy honored in this way was just such a cool moment. And I just remember feeling goosebumps as it was happening. I've gone back and watched it a lot. Sometimes when I'm like down and thinking about like, man, I hate that CM Punk's run came to an end the way it did. I just look back at that entrance and I go, but damn, did I get moments. And I got a moment like this one. And the match itself was great. I could have put all of this on here, but I specifically wanted to put the entrance because I thought this was a really, really special entrance. It felt, like I said, like CM Punk's career had come full circle, that he was having a moment to honor that part of his career, especially considering how much MJF in the buildup had been kind of channeling Ring of Honor era CM Punk and making a lot of references to that time period. For this entrance to take place the way it did, it's one of the coolest things. I was so happy with this. This belongs on my list. And to be in the building for it too. Great shit.
It was phenomenal. And obviously, mentioned the dog collar match. That was freaking great too. But speaking of that specific moment, I remember being in the crowd when that happened. And it was this feeling of, oh my God, no way. Because, you know this, but CM Punk is literally like my favorite person, wrestler, whatever you want to say. And I remember like my whole discovery of CM Punk was I discovered him because people were saying that there was this guy that people were calling the God of Wrestling during this period. Like there was a lot of people saying, no, he's the God of Wrestling, God of Wrestling, God of Wrestling. I'm like, who's this God of Wrestling people are talking about, right? So I remember just kind of like Googling. I was like, okay, CM Punk. I think it was on Daily Motion or something back in the day. And I remember searching him up and, just I didn't watch anything in order. I just kept clicking on like random Ring of Honor CM Punk matches, and I ended up watching, so much of his work, and it ended up being this thing where I like developed like this an obsession where I was like, oh my God, he's so good. Oh my God, I love him. I'm such a big fan. This and that, and so I was, drawn to CM Punk from that moment. So obviously, when this song hit, I was like, oh my God. And I just remember going like, you are now one of us. Like, it was just like this very passionate moment. And I remember afterwards, there was this whole discussion online from people that didn't get it, or that they felt, oh, they shouldn't be doing all of these little things that, only these hardcore fans should know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, please, I'm sorry to anybody that was on that side of the argument, but that was a really, really dumb thing to say. Like anybody who thought that, anybody who had a problem with CM Punk doing this theme for Revolution, I could not disagree more with those people because it was such an epic moment. And when you are a big fan of something or somebody, you want to have things like that because the fans are going to connect to that, And so for me, like this was definitely something that was nice to experience, and I think it was awesome that you added it on your third best.
Yeah. And honestly, like the reason I was so against that argument was because what did people think Cult of Personality was? Like for me, I recognize that it eventually became something synonymous with his Best in the World run, but like the moment that hit after John Cena won the WWE title, he beat Rey Mysterio in 2011, and then Cult of Personality hits, a lot of fans in the crowd were like, what's going on here? Why is this song randomly playing? I, on the other hand, was like, oh my God, that's the theme he used, Summer of Punk. We're getting another Summer of Punk. That's what's happening right now. And then when CM Punk came out, I was like, he's paying homage to that run of Ring of Honor when he signed with WWE. For those who don't know, the Summer of Punk run, CM Punk had signed with WWE in the summer of 2005, but he was Ring of Honor World Champion. How can this be? And he not only signed the contract, ultimate heel move, he signed it on the Ring of Honor title. He literally brought the contract out, signed it on the belt itself, and in the biggest dick move possible, he continued to run through the Ring of Honor roster as Ring of Honor champion. Now using Cult of Personality, he kind of had this I'm better than you attitude as he's walking through doing his entrance. It was a much slower entrance, but the whole attitude was, I've now signed with WWE. you guys are all peons. And he went on this epic run with the belt. And so when he brought Cult of Personality out in WWE, it was an homage to that. And so it was nice to just see it all come full circle at Revolution. It was one of my favorite moments this year. I was so happy. If you didn't get it, literally one line from Excalibur explained it, and I don't know why there was any discourse.
What did he say? Because I never watched it on like replay.
He literally says CM Punk harkening back to his Ring of Honor roots. Now that's
so
all
it
you
was
needed.
simple.
No,
It was simple.
I don't understand why there was such an argument. Like, it was there. The line was there. He said it.
Like, I'm sorry if you felt left out during this moment.
Yeah.
But it was okay, but let's say you were somebody who didn't know. Okay, like let's say you didn't know what the whole purpose was. Let's say you'd never heard the song, you never knew anything about this. So what? There's a bunch of stuff that you don't know. Like you got it. Like if the fans are enjoying it and if the fans connected to that, then so be it. Like let them have this moment. So that's kind of how I felt. Like even if you weren't a fan of this, like I feel like it was just a moment. But anyways, we got a super chat here from Orion Ben 666 who says Tony Khan kicked off so many things in 2022. Wow. Orion Ben also sends in another super chat saying, ROH Punk still greater than the non-controversy was dumb. Thank you so much to Orion Ben. And yeah, I agree with that. I can't even believe that became a controversy.
And I do agree with that, though. See, a Ring of Honor CM Punk, that's the one thing that I'm like saddest about that I missed out on this year is when you think about the ending to All Out 2022 and what MJF was about to do when he ran the clips, the devil clip and all of that. And it's like, oh, he's going to turn Ring of Honor CM Punk against CM Punk. This is about to be some cool stuff. And it never got to happen.
Alrighty, well, now it is time for my number 3.
Let's go. I'm excited.
Oh, you're putting pressure on me.
I know. Okay. This is exciting. I
don't want pressure. Okay, so I was thinking back to don't do this, Will. This is too much. Okay, so I was thinking back to things that I kind of the stuff that I wanted to put on my list were not just specific cool moments, but also things that had, that there was a bigger picture in terms of, sort of a changing of the landscape, that type of thing, like things that were more than just a cool moment itself that led to other things, right? And so with that being said, I had to put Cody Rhodes returning to the WWE at WrestleMania. Obviously, everybody at this point knew that Cody Rhodes was going to be the person to wrestle Seth Rollins in this match. And even with that being said, the moment that it actually happened and he came out, it was this like, holy shit, it actually happened type of thing. But the reason that I'm putting it on this list was because at this point for Cody to go from AEW to WWE, and especially given, such the huge role that he played in the, the launching and the start of AEW, it was something that was like, oh my God, what does this mean? The fact that Cody is now going to WWE, it had everybody thinking like, okay, what's happening here? Because so much of what we were getting was all of this WWE guys going to AEW. And I remember talking about this on multiple podcasts thinking like, the perception of WWE right now looks really bad. And obviously so much ended up changing. But one of the things that kind of, ended up being like, I don't know if you want to say get the ball rolling, whatever, but having Cody Rhodes go back for whatever his reasons were, it was definitely something that was newsworthy. And it kind of, it really just kind of changed the landscape a little bit. And obviously there was something else that happened later on that ended up changing the landscape a lot more. But this was definitely something that I think was just like, holy shit, if Cody Rhodes went back to WWE, what else can we expect type of deal?
Oh, yeah. I remember where I was. I was in Atlanta, actually. Go figure. When I had the first conversation with Sean Ross Sapp about, hey, Cody's not under contract anymore. And we were having this conversation, and it was one of those, like, Sean was about to publish the story. And I remember talking to some people who were like, it's not a big deal. Cody's going to re-sign with AEW. It's probably just a negotiation tactic. And my brain went, guys, like, free agency is interesting, right? Because usually people don't let themselves get to free agency unless they're seeking other options. Like there was the story that Kevin Owens might be headed to AEW, right? That was like the talk all through 2021. And Kevin Owens never even got the free agency. For Kevin Owens, signed a new contract offer before even becoming a free agent. And the fact that Cody Rhodes became a free agent while TNT champion, again, it just raised all these eyebrows. And yeah, we sat for months without Cody Rhodes, right? It was like after he lost the TNT title, guy's not on TV for a little bit. He's not on AEW TV. It was pretty much known he was going to WWE, but in what capacity, right? I remember I did... What show was that I did? Were you on it? Or was I filling in for you? That's right. Okay, I did. It was back when you were still on We're Live, pal. Because I'm like, yeah, I was having the conversation with Andrew Zarian. But that's who it was. And we were talking about what would Cody Rhodes being in WWE look like? Would it be all callbacks to his original run? Would he be coming out to, whoa, you're only smoking mirrors? Like, what is he going to do? And I remember thinking, I said at the time, I don't think Vince signed Cody to get the old Cody back. If I were Vince, I'd be looking at AEW Cody and everything that comes with it. And I remember that raised some eyebrows at the time. I remember Andrew looked at me like, okay, so you thinking he might have like Kingdom and all of that? I'm like, I think so. I think Vince like got all of it. I think he didn't sign the legacy Cody Rhodes. He wanted the American Nightmare. And I remember feeling like that's a possibility, but like 30% possible. Watching WrestleMania, when those lights went out, you see the pyro, and then wrestling has more than one royal family. I remember like, oh shit, he fucking did it. Like, he didn't just jump ship. He took every single thing with him. He took the music. He took the logo. He took the nickname. They tried to do the Cody Vader twice. It worked at WrestleMania. It did not work on Raw. But that was really what made it feel like a seismic shift, because even when people jump from WWE to AEW, there's usually something missing. There's usually, hey, they've got a new theme song, or sometimes they have a new name. Something about them is not the same when they've made that jump. But Cody Rhodes took everything. All of a sudden, this guy that we have seen on AEW TV in this exact fashion for the last 2.5 years is now on WWE TV in exactly the same form. I remember I had a tweet where I said I was concerned about bringing Cody to WWE because everything that makes Cody Cody isn't possible in WWE. Like, you know, his kind of less formal promo style, the fact that Cody bleeds all the time. Literally, he showed up in WWE still with the scars from the burns from one of his last moments in AEW. I thought all of these things that make Cody Cody wouldn't be possible in WWE, and I was proven wrong because he came fully intact. He was talking about wrestling in a time where they still wanted people saying WWE Universe and WWE Superstars, and he's like, no, you fans. And I agree. I'm glad this moment was on here because it wasn't on mine, and I'm like, but I know Denise will do it. And so,
and even like that press conference that he did afterwards, because you mentioned like him using like certain language. I remember when he said, he mentioned the word wrestler, and then he turns to PR and he goes, I'm sorry, superstars. And everybody started laughing. But even just like him going out there and kind of like talking, he was so open with everything. Like, he was very honest about why he chose to leave AEW. At least, as I feel like he gave a lot of good stuff in terms of that. I thought that the most interesting part of Cody's press conference was him saying that he wasn't necessarily, I guess I forget verbatim, but he said like he wasn't mature enough to be in that backstage position because he wanted to do so many of these other things, right? So it was interesting just to kind of hear him talk about all of this. And dude, like, I don't know how else to say, like, this had to be on my list because of everything else that followed, and just like this kind of being the really like the starting point. But we got a super chat here from Pablo. Crokides, who says, Happy New Year, Denise and Will. Revolution was the first time we watched it in a movie theater. Such a communal experience. Miseria Canter popped us all. So, my fiance actually always goes to the movie theaters to watch the AEW pay per views because I'm always there. So, he doesn't want to spend like the $50 to watch it here at the house. So, he ends up going to the movie theaters and he spends like, I don't know, $30 to watch it. So, he always tells me that it's a really good time to watch it in theaters. Thank you so much to Pablo for sending this in as well. And let me go ahead and cue you up, Will. It's time. What is your number 2 of the year?
I need to preface this by saying that I don't think this is the best of the series, but it is important to recognize that the reason this is on my list is because it, I think, signified a really important moment in professional wrestling. Gonna go back to Ring of Honor again. It's a show that Denise actually worked. This was Supercard of Honor. And specifically
oh my God, was it mean? I'm just kidding.
One specific match on this show was FTR head-to-head with the Briscoes the first time. And the reason I put the first one over the other two is because I think the third one is the better match. Don't get me wrong. But as far as what's the most important moment, what was the best moment, it was the first match. And a big piece of that was this, of course, took place at the Curtis Culwell Center in Garland, Texas, part of WrestleMania weekend in Dallas. And the atmosphere was off the charts. From the moment the entrances ended, everybody's chanting, holy shit. Just the idea that FTR, a team that, really made a name for themselves in NXT as one of the greatest teams to ever do this, but not necessarily a team that we could have ever seen tying up with the Briscoes. Like, even as FTR had jumped over to AEW, the Briscoes weren't in AEW. This wasn't necessarily a thing that we really saw possible. And then at the end of Final Battle last year, that was the first little inkling that, okay, this is about to be a thing. The Briscoes and FTR, let's go. But at the same time, it was like, but when? When could this possibly happen? Because we don't even know what Ring of Honor is going to look like in the future. And so Supercard of Honor takes place. FTR, the Briscoes. Again, atmosphere is off the charts. Half the arena screaming top guys, the other half screaming dim boys. And it was top guys, dim boys, top guys, dim boys. From the lockup on, it was just insanity in that place. I feel like it never died down. People were just screaming their heads off through this entire match. And, of course, as a match, it completely delivers. Really, this was just a masterclass in tag team wrestling. FTR, specifically Dax Harwood especially, working the injury with just really selling the brutality of the Briscoes throughout the match. And, of course, with the Ring of Honor tag titles on the line. Again, this was one of those periods where we had questions about what the future of Ring of Honor held. And what did the future of Ring of Honor mean? Did that mean that the belts were going to FTR? Did that mean that they were going to stay with the Briscoes? Who knew in this case? But watching it as it's all going down was just insanity. I was there with Righteous Reg and Phil Lindsay. That was really the first show that the three of us as Rap City had attended. I had been to shows with Reg before. I had been to shows with Phil before, but the three of us had not been to a show together. And so we were just experiencing this. We were screaming our heads off. Of course, FTR ends up getting the victory. They win the tag titles. And just when you think like nothing else insane could happen here, the Young Bucks run out. And of course, the Young Bucks have a famous rivalry with both teams going back to Ring of Honor. They've shared the ring with the Briscoes, I want to say like 50 times. Don't quote me on that. But of course, then, there's always the online rivalry between the Young Bucks and FTR as far as who's the better team. And so when the Young Bucks run out and them having ties to both teams, it just felt like an insane moment. Like, I can't believe what I'm witnessing here. This just felt really important. And thinking about what it kicked off for FTR arguably had the best rivalry of their careers with that series of matches they had with the Briscoes. They went on to go to Death Before Dishonor, where they had the 2 out of 3 falls match. And then at Final Battle this year, they, of course, had the double dog collar match. Through all of that, that's considered some of the best stuff FTR's ever done. I think the double dog collar match is probably the best match of the series. But really, none of that happens without this match. And just being a part of WrestleMania weekend, it just felt really special. This was good shit. And it goes on the list.
I think like you nailing this one with putting this one at number 1, I think is the right call because, I mean, number 2, but number 1 in the series was the right call because like you said, without this moment, you wouldn't have had everything else that followed. And I think that like when you go back and you look at like tag team wrestling for the year, or you look back at FTR, like everything that FTR and the Briscoes did is what pops into people's minds. And I remember my experience of this match was really cool because I was in the production truck for this. So I was actually getting the control room view of this. So they had like, they told me I forget how many cameras they had, but they had less than they usually do for Dynamite. I think they told me for Dynamite they have like 14 cameras or something, and this time they had like 6. So it was half of what they normally have, but they still had all of these screens. So you were getting all of these different versions. So this was cool because I was watching the match. Like what everybody was seeing on television, but I was also seeing all the other camera shots. So I kind of got to see just so much of what you're not seeing when the camera's not on there. And on top of that, I was getting the camera of like Tony and everyone backstage that was like, on their headpiece, making sure that, things go, what they're supposed to do. So I was just sitting there kind of like studying this entire thing. And so for me, it was a really cool moment because I kind of got like a different view of how a match like this gets put together, not just from the wrestler perspective, but also from the production perspective, and how the wrestlers and the agents and everything work with the production team to make sure that, they get the right camera shot, that they know, okay, this is what's going to go down next. Make sure that you have the camera queued up on here, get closer here. It's going to be time to pull out because, this is going to happen, whatever, right? So just really seeing all of that get put together was, kind of magnificent. So it was kind of cool because you were seeing this really great in-ring action, but then also seeing like the production side of it, which was awesome for me. So it's something that definitely sticks out. But we got a couple of super chats here. This one is from Hello, it's Crash. Thank you so much for sending in this very generous super chat. Seriously, it's much appreciated. These super chats really keep our show funded, so thank you so much. Amir F sends in a super chat saying, if you could book Anarchy in the Arena 2023, who would be in it and whose music would be playing most of the match? This is a really good freaking question. I feel like you definitely have to bring back Eddie Kingston for this because that image of him just like walking out all bloody with the gasoline tank was unforgettable. I would like to see Darby because he's freaking crazy. And you'd get some really crazy things. Who else would you put in here that would be like super just going in there? John Moxley, I feel still has to be in this because John Moxley, obviously, he just does crazy stuff too. Who's somebody that you would like to see?
So, what's interesting is I've never thought about a second Anarchy in the Arena, but I had thought about a second Blood and Guts. And I suppose they kind of go hand in hand, right? Because usually when they do one, it's a rematch of the other. And, the person I want to see in a Blood and Guts match is Sting. And thinking about all the crazy things Sting has already done this year, I would also want to see him in Anarchy in the Arena, and it goes hand in hand with Darby being there. So that's a guy I'd want to see. What music would I want to hear?
Obviously, your favorite theme song.
Well, it has to be something licensed, right? Because it has to be something that the crowd knows that like really makes the moment here, and because. God, I can't think of what it would be, to be honest.
I don't know, but I want something that like gets me hyped, man.
Yeah.
Maybe even something I could sing along to.
I mean, honestly, okay, maybe not licensed.
Imagine I know what it is. Song.
I was thinking Jungle Boys, but yeah, I think that would make the match feel a little silly. But you know what wouldn't? So the Elite hasn't gotten to have another one of these matches. They, of course, had the first Stadium Stampede, and Anarchy in the Arena is kind of a sequel to Stadium Stampede. I'm going to say Kenny Omega's music. I think hearing Battle Cry and those guitars while the action's going is actually the one. That's the one.
Alrighty. Amir F, thank you so much for sending in this super chat. And let me just catch up here with the chat. All right, let's get to it. What number are we on? Oh, my number two.
Your number
All
two.
right. So my number two is kind of, it's not a specific moment, but rather this person's a whole year, because this person had a year that was unlike any other. And I think you know who I'm talking about. It is MJF. So I'm putting MJF's wild AEW year as my second, and the reason for this is he obviously got to feud with CM Punk, which we talked about earlier. Everything that happened with him and Wardlow as well. All the drama that unfolded at AEW Double or Nothing that had everybody talking. I still remember being at GCW the night before when this whole news broke, and everybody was like, do you think MJF's going to be there? Do you think MJF's going to be there? I have no freaking idea what's going on. The match, it's the moment when MJF actually came out at Double or Nothing, and everybody was like, holy shit. And then he gets in the ring and he does the little plane dance. That him getting defeated by Wardlow, then doing obviously the image that I just showed right now, that promo from the MJF's pipe bomb in the first ever AEW Dynamite in Los Angeles. I ranked that my number one best moment in AEW for 2022 because I loved it, and even I went back and like found it on YouTube and I rewatched the entire thing. No, it's pretty easy, actually. It became up like in the top 3. Like someone had it on there. I was
going to say, because AEW's been scrubbing it.
Well, I got lucky and I found it in a really good quality too.
It's still on my DVR, so that's one of those ones I'm never letting go.
You're right. So I went back and I like re-listened to it, and it was one of those things where I was like, God damn, like obviously like the last final moments with him, Kurt like saying what he said about Tony and just, the ex-WWE stars and everything. So all of that, then him essentially being gone, you not knowing what's going to happen, him finally coming back. Unfortunately, that was overshadowed by the Elite CM Punk drama. But then fast forward to him finally winning the title and getting to start this whole brand new era of MJF. So when you really think of somebody that just went from like because MJF was already popular, but I feel like he really just grew in superstardom for this particular year. Like things just like blew up for him. I can't think of anybody else that had a year like this, like not just like news wise, buzz wise, but story wise, all of the promos, the promo with William Regal, the promos that he did with William Regal, the promos that he did with CM Punk, the Ricky Starks promo, and I'm forgetting so many others that are in between there. But there was just so much that happened that I feel that MJF had one of the greatest years for somebody in wrestling, at least for this year.
And it's crazy that he did it while only having like 7 or 8 matches.
Right?
And which is wild as hell.
Yeah, like, it's just a lot.
To think about the fact that Kenny's been back only since August and just had his 10th match of the year on Wednesday, and MJF's been roughly around the entire time. Obviously, he missed like 3 months, but for the most part, MJF's been around, and Kenny's had more matches. That doesn't even compute. But I agree with you. I think that he has had a phenomenal year, and just thinking about where it started in the feud with CM Punk, he beat CM Punk in Chicago, and that's a very rare thing. As a matter of fact, think about AEW's headed to Seattle this week, and I'm pretty sure all of the Seattle wrestlers are probably going to get wins because there's many. But it's a rare thing. Tony Khan likes to give the hometown crowd what they want, and Chicago, they let MJF get the victory over CM Punk in Chicago. That was a big deal, and it made MJF look like $1 million. I think while he hasn't gotten to wrestle a whole lot, every MJF in-ring performance has delivered, and he's the world champ right now. He's got that Triple B.
There you go. Alrighty, guys. So before we move on to our we're going to do our worst next. and then our number one. But before we move into that, we do have a word here from our sponsor, SmackTalk Showdown. The holidays, the Christmas holiday may be over, but we're heading into a new year, and you guys got your gift cards, you got your gifts, you need something to spend it on. Get yourself SmackTalk Showdown. This is a really fun wrestling card game where you cut promos on your friends. Hell, you could even do it by yourself in the mirror, whatever you need to do. This is really fun. You get tasks that you do, you get segments that you do as you cut your promos, and it's really a good time. If you head on over to smacktalkshowdown.com and purchase the game, you do get $5 off your entire order with the promo code Denise. I have this game. I love this game. I play it all the time. You can check out all of my Promo Wars videos here on my YouTube channel. But yeah, check it out. smacktalkshowdown.com. $5 off your entire order with promo code Denise. Link in the description box below. Alrighty. So now it is time for our worst of the year. Who wants to go first? I'm excited. Can I go first, or you want to go first?
No, go ahead. You go first. You go first. I've been excited for your worst. Literally, I've been texting you. Like, I have been excited for your worst kind of all day. I want to know what this is.
Okay, the worst thing that happened in wrestling this year. So I remember us talking about this thing on one of the shows. Now, I didn't pick it as my worst. This was actually something you picked as your worst. But the reason I didn't pick it on my worst was because I didn't even care to watch it. It was something so bad that there was no way I was even going to watch it, give it the time of day. And when I was thinking back and thinking, okay, I want to give my worst to something that was truly not good in wrestling, something that was really a bad call, not just something that I considered lame or boring or whatever. I wanted to pick something that I thought overall was trash. And the fact that everybody here in this comment section has already guessed it, I don't even need to tell you guys. It is Tyrus winning the NWA World's Championship. So come on, bro. This was garbage. I'm this. I don't know how else to say it. It was so bad that I, to this day, have not gone back to I haven't watched this moment. That's how bad it is. I didn't want to give it the time of day. Who in their right mind would have Tyrus become the champ here? I'm sorry, but this was embarrassing for the company, embarrassing for the promotion, and embarrassing for the championship. That's my worst. Was I too harsh?
I was not expecting that at all. No, I think
Seriously, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Okay, and like I feel so bad saying this, but obviously, the NWA, they need a boost of life, man. Like they need like they need a reignition. I don't know. They need a reignite, excuse me. They need something to blow it up and make it worth watching. Not one thing has made me say, you know what? I should check out the NWA. Nothing. And this, when you already have me at below zero interest, and then this is what you do, that's how bad it is. That I won't even watch it. I won't even touch it. I ain't even there for it. I won't even sit and watch this.
It's so funny too, like when you come across Fox News clips of Tyrus with the belt now appearing on Fox News to talk about it, and it's like, I can't think of a man who looks like a bigger dork. And I say this because, like, it's a thing that people have said they want to see a lot. Maybe The Rock could win the Universal title and take the Universal title or WWE title or whatever to Hollywood appearances, all this stuff. And he'd probably look class with it if he did so. He's never going to do it. But he probably would look like $1 million. But for whatever reason, Tyrus with his doofy looking backward hat on, and like I said, because look, nobody past the age of like 20 still does that. But and if you do, I'm not knocking you personally. This is just the chance to dig in on Tyrus. But just him with his, I can't imagine people who watch Fox News watching that and going, I think I'm going to check out the NWA now. Look at this guy. He looks like somebody who's appealing to me. He looks like somebody who could get me into professional wrestling. Why don't I check out the NWA? I can't imagine this is doing them any favors whatsoever. But I can't imagine people looking at that and going, man, professional wrestlers sure are dorks. Because, like, that right there does not look like somebody I would take seriously. And then, yeah, on top of that, It's a sad fall because I think about those early days of NWA Power, and now granted the person who was in charge of creative at the time, Dave Lagana, obviously got Me Too'd. He's out of here, and so he is or not Me Too. It was Speaking Out, right? That was the specific hashtag, but he was the creative mind behind the original run of NWA Power. And I remember looking forward to those because it came on Tuesdays, but I would watch it Wednesdays because I wasn't going to watch it live, but I had work from home every Wednesday. And I remember I would throw it on and come away from it going, like, it's not the best wrestling show, but man, is it interesting. And now it doesn't have the interesting part. Now it's just that it's nothing, and they keep putting their foot in their mouth. I agree with you. This shit sucked. If there wasn't something I enjoyed substantially less, this would have been probably number one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I needed to pick something that was truly so bad that I couldn't even like waste my time with it. And on top of that, also in terms of like the impact that it kind of had, it was just so negative, so negative for the brand, so negative for the championship. It just looked really bad. And like, I'll be honest with you, like I've never been intrigued to watch, what they've been doing. And I don't know how to tell you this. Like, this was definitely not going to make me get any closer to turning on I can't even tell you when the NWA airs. When do they air? Where do they even air? I don't even know. That's how out of the radar they are for me.
By the way, but that's okay. It's on
None
Fight.
Of it. None of it. See, didn't even know. There, and I'm on Fight. I have a Fight subscription. I have a Fight subscription. I didn't even know they were on Fight. That's how out of the radar the NWA is for me at the moment. I'm sorry.
Hey, yeah, looking at the stuff the chat's saying. Because, yeah, there's a lot of great stuff that came out of that run of NWA, that initial run. When you think about Thunder Rosa, we have Eddie Kingston, we have Ricky Starks, Eli Drake, who's now LA Knight. Like, a lot of stuff came out of that run. And Nick Aldis, like, really tried to give it his all, really tried to stay loyal to that brand. And when the moment he gave up, that's the moment that we kind of saw, we know what's happening here. We know what this is. So
we got a couple of super chats. Hold on a second. Amir F says, one of my funniest moments of the year was the Young Bucks and Cutler as Hardys and Lita, as the Hardy Boys and Lita. My first time laughing through an entire match. I was there for that. I was the one who posted the picture of Brandon Cutler with the thong.
I forgot about that. That was that was the Rampage before Double or Nothing. Right. And I went to the Dynamite before Double or Nothing. My Double or Nothing trip was so stupid. I flew in for Dynamite and then flew back home on Thursday because I had to go to my kids. It was her graduation, and then from elementary school. So I guess continuation, that's the term. And then flew back for everything else that weekend. So I completed some stuff. I got some good work done that weekend, but or that
I don't know
week.
how you did it. I don't know how you did it.
I was in and out. I didn't stay the entire time, so I missed Rampage because I didn't get back till Friday night.
We got a super chat here from Caden C. Says wrestling made me mad this year. A lot of options. Thank you, Caden. And all right, let me make sure I'm caught up here. 1 second. All right, Will, it is time for you to do your worst of the year.
My worst of the year. I really went over this entire year, and I actually backspaced on my choice multiple times. At first, I just wrote Miz entire year. And then I backspaced on it and was like, okay, I'm not going to do that. There were some winners in there. The match with Logan Paul was pretty okay. I mean, it was good. I'm not going to discount that. But for the most part, not a guy I enjoyed. And then I started thinking about what about like specific matches I hated, and I found little ones here and there. I went back through everything we talked about on this show, but I had to go back before this show ever started. I went back to the beginning of the year. The worst thing to take place this year, and I was there in person. One of my favorite matches of any year. And it's a really hard one to blow, but boy, when you fucking blow it, you blow it. And they blew the Royal Rumble this year. The 2022 Royal Rumble was a dud. I spoke to somebody who works in creative, who didn't understand this Rumble whatsoever. They specifically told me, I don't understand why Randy Orton was where he was in this match. This match took place in St. Louis. And so being in St. Louis, this was a crowd. Most of them were there for Randy Orton. You could hear it. You could feel it when he came out. Everybody's chanting, "Let's go Orton, RKO, we want Orton." There was a lot of Orton love in the building. And he was only in the match like 5 minutes. And the creative person I spoke to said, I don't understand this. Knowing that we were putting Orton in this match and he wasn't winning, but it's in his hometown, the smarter move would have been to put him in early in the match and then have him kind of work the long spot in the match, go as long as he can in the match, and then get tossed out by a heel that'll create some heat for the crowd. Not have Randy Orton be in the match for a couple of minutes and then go out. Like it was structured weird. Nobody had recognizable theme music. This was the first time that people really started to notice, oh shit, everybody's theme kind of sucks, because there was no pops happening. The biggest pop in the match was for Johnny Knoxville, because everybody recognized the opening strum to the Jackass theme. That was a pop. Nobody else got reactions. The match was structured badly. On top of that, I know it's an idea people have had for years, and it hadn't happened, but a big reason that it happened with Becky Lynch. That's pretty much the only one that I think people were. And even still, she didn't lose the title. She walked in as a challenger. But for the most part, we hadn't seen the scenario where somebody walks in champion, loses, but then enters the Rumble and wins. And it turns out the reason we hadn't seen that, because that shit sucks. And the idea that, the Rumble is supposed to be that moment that gives us a challenger that can move into a title picture, that all of a sudden you've got this field of 30 guys. And any one of them can move into the title picture and change the course of their career or win a title back, whatever. But the thing you don't want to see come out of a Royal Rumble is, by the end of it, we're exactly where we started. And the fact that going into it, the rivalry was Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. And coming out of it, we were like, okay, so it's Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Okay, that's it. Like, nothing about this felt satisfying. The match itself was paced weirdly. I spent a lot of money to get to St. Louis, so I'm also just a little angry about that. And I didn't spend a lot of money, honestly. My ticket was comped, and
still money was spent though.
But and I stayed with a friend, so really no. I didn't spend a whole lot of money at all. I think like on an Uber, but still, it took
more than $9.99 on the Peacock.
Yeah, exactly, and it took my time. And again, it's a match that, because it's so big and it's so epic, and it is, like I said, it's one of my favorite matches of the year. When a Rumble is good, it is great, right? Like, 05 Rumble is still one of my favorite Rumbles of all time. 01 Rumble, great stuff. 2018 Rumble is one of the best Rumbles ever. 2019 Rumble, who won that? That was Seth Rollins, right? Seth. That was a good one too. Like, I feel like a good Rumble is a good Rumble. 2020 with the Brock run, and then Drew McIntyre wins. When a Rumble is good, it is great. When it stinks, it stinks. Of epic proportions, and this Rumble was just not it. Worst thing of the year. That's the other thing. The Royal Rumble sign caught fire. The chat's bringing that up. If this night couldn't have gotten any dumber or weirder, the Royal Rumble sign caught fire. Now, where they had sat media people, we were all in a spot where we weren't directly under the sign, but we were right behind it. So
damn, they were trying to eliminate y'all.
Yeah, they didn't.
They were like, you guys were mean to us. Let's put you on fire.
So, because it was it was, they put us in the section right off of the floor seats, and so it was, the Rumble sign was right above the floor seats. They evacuated that entire section twice, by the way. So they had to evacuate it because of the fire that had taken place the first time when Ronda Rousey won the Rumble, which was bad enough, by the way. I could have given both Rumbles, but I decided specifically men's Rumble because that was really bad. Women's Rumble stunk too. But then they let everybody come back to their seats. In the last 5 minutes of the match, you see security walking over to everybody going, hey, listen, we're going to need you to leave your seats. And they evacuate the area, which told me, okay, so this match is about to be over. And Brock comes in, eliminates people, makes short work of everybody. Pyro goes off, sign catches fire again. And the sign catching fire, by the way, completely ruined Doudrop versus Becky Lynch because nobody's watching that match in the arena at all. Everybody's looking at this sign that's on fire, the WrestleMania sign, and like there's this gigantic pop when the fire is put out. But if you're watching on TV, I'm sure that was really weird because it was like in the middle of the match where nothing was happening. And those two got nothing. I felt really bad for them. It was just a disastrous night, but the Rumble itself, I think, was the cherry on top of a shit Sunday.
So I remember that I couldn't go to this Rumble because I had already a pre-commitment, another job. And so I remember I had so much FOMO, man. And then afterwards, when everybody was saying that the Royal Rumble was so bad, I didn't believe everybody. I'm like, nah, they're lying. Because I didn't get to watch it live either. So I had to watch it on replay. And I'm like, people are probably just exaggerating, right? Then I started seeing all these comments of people saying like, no, it's really bad. And I'm like, well, it's not very often that the entire like IWC actually agrees on something being so bad. So then once I actually watched it, I just remember like thinking, my God, I cannot believe that this is what they did. And it was actually pissed me off too, because the Royal Rumble is the event that like casuals tune into. It's the one that like maybe lapsed fans still tune into because it's so easy to get people interested in the Royal Rumble. The concept is so much fun to watch. So the fact that they ruined one of the most fun things that wrestling fans or WWE fans, whatever you want to call them, look forward to every year. I look forward to the Royal Rumble every freaking year, man. So for them to ruin it and do that, I remember it pissed me off so much. I'm like, how dare you do this? But anyways, what I will say now is that also 2023, this Rumble has to be like one of the best Rumbles. It has to be really good just to make up for last year's Rumble.
Oh, yeah. And I think it can be. I think they have the potential to make for some epic moments. I think that Hunter knows the pressure is on because this is his first Rumble. And I think it's going to deliver. I wish I could be there, but I've done the Rumble in San Antonio before. I did it, what was that, 2017? Randy Orton won. That was okay, but I got to see Cena versus AJ Styles in that same building, so thumbs up for the experience overall. Also, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens was also pretty good, which is about to happen at the Rumble again. Didn't even think about that. But anyway, but this Rumble, just so bad. And honestly, I think it was it should be the final nail in the Vince McMahon Royal Rumble's coffin in like a perfect way to think about how his running the company hopefully permanently ended.
Alrighty, we got a super chat here from Deontay Swanier. Thank you so much. Who says, Stardom show was amazing this year of 2022. Wrestling has been insane, and we have one more day. Lord have mercy. Will and Denise love you. Happy New Year. Thank you so much to Deontay for all the constant love and support that you've been sending into the show. It's much appreciated, seriously.
2023 is about to be a huge year for Stardom, by the way. And Stardom, I think, honestly, like Rossi deserves so much credit for the growth of Stardom this year and how Stardom, I think I've seen more buzz for Stardom just in 2022 than I've seen in any year I've been covering pro wrestling. So like the growth of Stardom, I think has to be commended for what they did in 2022 and the fact that there's rumors that Sasha's going to be working the Stardom show in April. I think they're about to have their biggest year ever.
Alrighty, well, what was the number one best thing that happened in wrestling for this year? It's time. Now, this one, because I did a top 10 best, my favorite WWE matches and my top 10 AEW moments. So this was not on any one of those lists because it didn't coincide with what I was, doing. So this is like brand new information here. So here we go. Let's get into our most favorite. Will, what was your number one?
Well, if you don't mind, I'm gonna give Denise a boot for a second because
I'm being booted.
Just for a second.
You're holding on to your number one.
No. I'm actually like booting you from the screen for a second
Oh,
because,
okay.
folks, so if you look behind me, there's a little poster there that says Anarchy in the Arena. And part of the reason that that poster had to go there was because, and now you're back, Anarchy in the Arena was the best thing I saw this year. I'm so glad that somebody brought it up and actually asked about it because that was an experience in the arena. T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Double or Nothing, the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the Blackpool Combat Club. This was just absolute chaos. You talk about what you wanted to see. I remember Denise mentioning earlier this year when she and I reviewed Survivor Series. She mentioned what she wanted to see out of something like War Games, and that's a match that's of chaotic nature where shit is just going down. This match was that. Being in that building, the screaming did not stop. Everybody was just going crazy because there was just stuff happening everywhere you looked in the arena. I don't even know how the cameras were able to capture that, but I went back and watched it today just to be certain this was my number one pick. I could not believe you had just all this insane brawling going on. Wild Thing is playing through it all, and it's just on a loop. It plays a couple of times through. It was a bloody affair, as I mentioned. I've told this story before, but my wife got Matt Menard's blood on her. And she was just having this crazy time with it. She's just screaming her head off because she can't believe what's happening in front of her. Literally, she goes to the restroom to clean the blood off her foot. When she comes out of the restroom, literally there are wrestlers brawling outside the bathroom door. And she's just like, oh shit, I think you can even see her in one shot, like coming out of the bathroom and looking down and going, oh shit, I didn't realize this. But it's just complete insane action, complete insane storytelling. You mentioned the shot of Eddie Kingston coming down with the gas can. That is now an iconic shot. And he was literally going to set these motherfuckers on fire. This is so great. And of course, the story here of Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson not getting along, but them both being tied to Jon Moxley, so therefore they have to get along for this match. Turned out to be a really great part of this story. Everything about this was just complete insanity. Honestly, I wish that maybe not here, but at least at Blood and Guts, that would have been the end of the Jericho Appreciation Society and Blackpool Combat Club stuff because it really went on too long. But thinking about this particular moment, I haven't experienced a thing like this in an arena before. But even watching it back on TV, it deserved every star it got. It was just complete insanity. My God, Justin Roberts' intro to it was completely epic. When Justin Roberts hits the microphone at the beginning of it, this was the craziest thing that AEW's ever done in terms of putting on a match in an arena. We knew Stadium Stampede, the previous two Double or Nothings, was an epic thing, but those were, of course, cinematic matches that didn't really play into the crowd. I guess the second one kind of did, but of course, half of that match was pre-taped. Sorry if I told you how the sausage was made, but in this particular time to do the whole thing in front of this audience, epic shit. Best thing that's been done all year. It deserved every star it got. I loved it.
This was freaking cool. And I think you said kind of the same thing I did too when I was talking about this for my top 10, because it was the thing that you knew you were experiencing something that was really cool, right? Because I remember being there and I had this moment of like, oh, I don't even know what to do. I was just standing there and I remember there was just so much going on that I legitimately, like, I would look 1 second over here and turn over there. Oh my God, there's guys over there. What the hell's going on over there? This is my closest thing. So I'll look over here. There was so much where you didn't even know where to look. And I remember when I realized, like, oh my God, they're not stopping the music. This is going to keep going. And it ended up being this like real cool vibe where you really did have like the perfect combination of a wrestling show and a rock show all in won. So it felt like pretty unique and just like exciting. And this was definitely one of like my favorite moments to like be like there, that like getting to experience it live. I have never gone back to watch it on TV because part of me is like, like I don't want to like the experience of my live experience to be like changed or altered with the TV version of it. But man, I had a really good time watching this live. So I agree with you. I'm putting it up there. We got a super chat here from Amir F who says, imagine if we could get CMFTR. Wait, what am I can't? CM Punk FTR and the Briscoes versus the Elite with Cult of Personality playing continuously. Damn, bro.
That would be great, actually. Shit, that would be probably the biggest thing they could.
They could do that after we get CM Punk and Kenny Omega. Or after, whatever they want to do.
Oh, that's right. Care. That's your prediction.
My prediction.
Right? Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Now it has to happen. Well, I'm manifesting here. You got to manifest, you know. Thank you so much to Amir F. I saw that eye roll. Will, I saw that eye roll.
I mean, look, I'll say this. I am of the feeling that I think we do get CM Punk back, but I think it has to come with like at least a year of not working with the Elite at all. Like, you work over here, you work over here.
Fine, then I'll make the same prediction in 2024. I'm gonna keep making this prediction till I die.
And luckily, there is content you can get out of CM Punk if he does return, where there's still unfinished business. There's still, like, the MJF feud's not over. Like, there's stuff they can do before they have to get to that. But ultimately, that's stuff people want to see.
We got a super chat here from Sheldon Jackson who says, Eddie Kingston is that guy, the definition of F around and find out, hoping he becomes a champ in 2023. Thank you so much to Sheldon Jackson for sending in this generous super chat. And okay, so it's now my turn for my number one of the year.
No idea what you could have possibly picked. No clue. Even with the hint she just dropped about how it's not on either list, nothing's coming to mind right now.
Okay, well, if you recall, I said that I wanted to pick things that had a big change, a big impact in the entire, business, the entire landscape of the thing. Will, what was the thing that you would say really changed the game here? Keyword. I literally dropped the bomb there.
Yeah, I know you did, because it is Hunter taking over WWE.
Yes, and that is, exactly. I chose Triple H running creative for WWE as my number one best thing to happen in wrestling. And the reason I say this is because I sat through some really, really bad Vince McMahon booking, okay? I lived it. I sat through it. I had to watch it for hours on end and then come up with something to say about it. And it got to the point where it was just really, really bad. And, obviously everything that went down with Vince, that was awful, right? But it led to, getting to have Triple H take over for creative. And that to me was, I know that, things haven't necessarily, there's been some stuff that have been great. There's been some that's been mediocre. But for me, I'm more excited about like the possibility of what can happen, especially now that we're, about to start off Mania season. I'm really excited to see like what he's going to do now that I kind of feel he has a little bit more. I don't explain, like now there's more in terms of just the fact that we're heading into WrestleMania season. I'm just expecting so much during that. So I'm really hoping that things go well on that side of things because I just want to watch good stuff, man. I really do not want to watch some of the stuff that we've been seeing. There's still a lot of things that I don't like that has been part of the programming, which you guys know because I talk about it every week, but I'm hopeful, okay? I'm very, very hopeful, and at least I'm not watching the same match over and over again, okay? Like that to me, chef's kiss. I'm excited. I'm very excited. So there you go. That was my number one.
Wow, not what I was expecting at all.
You seem disappointed.
I mean,
what was I gonna? Okay, I was trying to because I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, obviously Vince McMahon retiring, that was huge, but I didn't want to put it on there and be like Vince McMahon retiring. So I'm like, okay, I need to, look at this from a different angle. All right, well, it's Triple H taking over for creative.
Yeah, I mean, it is an exciting thing, right? It has changed the landscape of professional wrestling in the sense that
there's hope now. There's hope.
And I think there's, the options even just a year ago in professional wrestling, for a lot of people, were either I'm going to AEW or I'm going to swallow my pride and work for some money, right? Like, it wasn't necessarily a people wanting to work for Vince, because people weren't feeling creatively fulfilled for a long time. And I think it is important to recognize that now, like, what we want to see out of professional wrestling is a landscape where each company is challenging each other to make each other better. Because when you can do that, then what you're doing is you're creating an environment where the companies have to fight to keep their pro wrestlers, because they have to make sure they're providing the best environment. And the fact that, Hunter, a lot of guys who are familiar with Hunter want to go work for him. That's a good thing, right? Because you hear people who work for Tony who do want to work for Tony. And so you hear that from both sides. And it's like, to see an environment where those who have the best options available for their wrestlers are going to be the ones that that draw talent is going to make everybody try harder. And I think that people wanting to work for Hunter is a good thing. And he's at least given second chances to a lot of guys. Has a lot of it worked out? Not really. But what has worked out is at least proof that there's at least another creative voice in WWE. Look, WWE has been run by the same guy for the last ever. When you talk about the booker in a wrestling company, there's only ever been one booker in WWE as far as the main brands are concerned, and it was Vince McMahon. There's been heads of creative, various different ones, but the booker was always Vince McMahon. And to know now that the top wrestling company in the world is not run by him anymore and is run by somebody who has been in the business and has a little bit of just a different view of it, because they see it from a perspective of having been in it and seeing it from the top down, having run NXT all those years. It's an exciting thing. I think ultimately it is the grandest change that's happened in professional wrestling history, really. The question is just, I want to know what a full year of Hunter looks like. Like, obviously, he's had to keep up the continuity of what Vince has had to do. Some of it's worked, some of it hasn't. I think he's done a really good job with the Raw Women's division. SmackDown's, on the other hand, is...
it's improved. It's improved. From the previous SmackDowns that were really rough, I would say SmackDown improved.
You know what? I'm going to disagree with you, Denise.
Ooh. Let's go, Will. Let's go.
I went back and watched some old SmackDowns from Vince era earlier this year. There was some good shit in there. And what I mean by that, I'm specifically referring to the women's division. Specifically referring to Charlotte and Naomi had a friggin' banger of a main event. The women have not main evented SmackDown under Hunter. Not once. And I think that it's really just because his SmackDown brand right now doesn't have it. There's no combination I would main event SmackDown with under Hunter right now. He's got to really shuffle that division up. But right now, looking at it, like, if you were to book a women's main event right now using just the women you have on SmackDown, who would you put in it?
Well, unfortunately, we'd have to put Ronda in it. But here's the thing, though. You're just focusing in on the women, though. The guys have been doing a lot of really great stuff on SmackDown. He made the Intercontinental Championship mean something again. Gunther has been booked pretty well. We've been getting some awesome matches.
I agree with you there.
So that's why I disagree with you, Will. Because
I was specifically talking. I was specifically talking about the women's division, but
the women's division right now. It's not that great. Yeah, it's really bad right now.
It's a dud on SmackDown. That's where I'm feeling like the balance is off, because there's not a whole lot of
everything. Everything was bad. The only thing that you had to look forward to on SmackDown was Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. That was it. There wasn't anything else that I enjoyed watching on SmackDown previously. Do I have to remind you how many times I watched Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin? Bro, I nearly died.
I think SmackDown is the better overall show. Like, I'm looking forward to watching SmackDown tonight. I'm actually really excited about it.
This is gonna be a good SmackDown. Yeah,
been looking forward to it all day. Because, like, on the other hand, I think Raw has a lot that's like dull And like for the most part, I like,
Dorky, yeah, a lot of
yeah,
dorky stuff.
yeah. Raw is kind of a slog to get through most weeks, but it's like okay, at least they have a women's division that's shining. And on the other hand, it's SmackDown where it's like okay, this is an exciting show, but man, the women's division sucks. I really want Hunter to find that balance, and I don't know when he's gonna find that. And I feel like after a year, I'm willing to look back and evaluate how it's all gone.
I think this is going to be the real test, like the full year 2023, and hopefully he gets that full year. In terms of we don't want Vince coming back and butting it and changing things up. And this was obviously a topic that you and I discussed heavily. But I want to see with the fact that you have to put on a really good consistent television building up to WrestleMania. Like this to me is the real test, the build up to WrestleMania. Right here. And if this fails, then there goes my hope for the year. But I'm looking forward to this.
I hear, by the way, January 2nd, that is going to be a big show for WWE.
That's the first Raw of the year, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. All right. We got a super chat here from JB's Productions. It says, "Happy New Year to Denise and Will. Shout out from the UK. Thank you so much for watching, and for supporting and sending in the super chats. Much appreciated, man." Broadway Joe sends one in saying, "Please God, no Punk verse. He needs to work the Elite when he comes back and do the job for Omega. Otherwise, don't bother with him. TK got to take charge." Thoughts on this? I mean, look, for me, when you bring in CM Punk, I do kind of there's obviously going to be, they got to find a way to build up to, because, storyline wise, they didn't, talk about anything that went down, right? So they got to work their way to it story wise. Obviously, we know, people that are following the news know what's going on, but they got to explain it on TV. But yeah, I would want to see the first big pay-per-view, whenever he comes back, the first big pay-per-view after that, or maybe the one after that, I would already want to see CM Punk, Kenny Omega, something like that.
I don't like when I say that, because I know you're referring to like the Codyverse stuff where Cody was so disconnected from AEW that he's literally having matches that nobody cares about. He's having a feud with QT Marshall and a feud with Anthony
I wouldn't want that for CM Punk.
Don't do that. But obviously there's some middle ground, right? Like if he's not working the Elite, he can still work, say, Adam Cole. That's a guy that Punk has talked up. There's still there's revisiting Darby's a good one. Like I said, MJF is still there. Brian Moxley, there's a lot of guys there that Punk can work that don't necessarily have to be the Elite. I think you can get to the Elite. I just don't know if you have to start there. That's all.
Right, but I don't want to start bottom of the barrel, man. I don't want to see CM Punk versus some guy that I don't even care about, No,
I think that if he comes back, MJF has to be the place to go. You got to tie that end up. Right now they're 1-1. They never finished that feud. They were supposed to coming out of All Out. If I were going to bring back CM Punk, that's exactly how I would do it. Is after MJF's next retention, whenever that is, if Punk's ready to come back, then I would have lights go out and this time, have MJF's, a couple of MJF clips run, and then, show the back of Punk's head, and Punk makes his way out, and you know where I would do it? UBS Arena. That's where I would bring him back. MJF's hometown, in the same way that MJF came out in Chicago and confronted Punk, I would do the opposite and have Punk confront MJF in UBS Arena. That's how I'd book that. Give it to me. Give me the fucking book, Tony.
See? We're excited. We're excited.
Yes, we're excited. I'm excited about 2023.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see. But either way, thank you so much to Broadway Joe for sending in your thoughts here. And we got a couple more super chats in. Hugestrom, who says, "Hey guys, love the show. What do you think 2023 holds for Mustafa Ali? I think he could be the next big thing if you let him." Thank you so much, Brandon, for this. So I've said this before, but if you go to my channel and you watch if you click on the most popular videos, I believe Mustafa Ali's interview is either at number 4 or number 5. I forget. But it is up there, man. People love the guy. He gets a shit ton of views. He is somebody that I feel bad. I've kind of lost hope with what they might do. I don't think they're going to do much with him. I've lost a little bit of hope there.
I think I don't think it's happening in 2023. I hope it does. but I think he has to go elsewhere because there's just a disconnect with him. There's two things. One, he is very much not liked by one specific person in creative. That person has way too much pull, I think, for Ali to ever get past that. And the other thing is, even when he was back earlier this year and they were kind of trying to do some stuff with him as a babyface, it wasn't really connecting with the crowds. I think he really needs that kind of hardcore crowd to get behind him. And I would just like to see him in that kind of environment that can be more conducive to his style of pro wrestling, because he doesn't really captivate crowds in a way where I love Ali. I want to see him succeed. I think he needs to do it elsewhere. And I think he knew that too. I think that's part of requesting his release last year and not being able to get it.
He's ready to go.
Yes.
Uriel sends in a super chat. Thank you so much to Uriel Londeros, who says, Happy New Year's, guys. Finding your content was the highlight of the year. Legit. Speak Now Pro Wrestling, Grapsity, Day After Dynamite, and After the Week have been lifesavers. Thank you so much. Uriel also says, here's to even more success for you two. Thank you so much for the support on this podcast and all the other podcasts, and for also sending in the super chat. It really means a whole lot to us. So thank you so much to Uriel as well. We have a super chat from GL81, who says, thoughts on surprises for Women's Rumble this year? Naomi ? As for Naomi, I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what happens with, well, I don't want to say a lot of it's going to depend on what Sasha Banks does, because I think that they're not going to go the same path, right? Like, they both have different paths to follow. Sasha Banks's path is not Naomi's path. Naomi's path is not Sasha Banks's path. So maybe I shouldn't say that, but yeah, I could see Naomi coming back to WWE. Honestly, I could see it. And then I could see it a lot more for Naomi than Sasha Banks, honestly, right now. And for other women that I think we would see or should be seen, I'm trying to think if there's anybody that I would really want. I mean, obviously there's always the nostalgic acts that you can bring in. Those are always fun. Maybe they'll bring back Mickie James again. I don't know. Do you have anybody that really sticks out to you?
I mean, this is the time to bring back Charlotte.
Charlotte.
I don't think there's a better time to bring her back. And she's, I think, the name that's going to matter the most there. I truly do not know what Naomi does. I don't know. By the way, for those who haven't seen, my current percentage on Mercedes Watch 2023 is 90%.
You should make a website for it, where people can tune in and see your percentage, and just a little picture of you and a little picture of her, and then your percentage right in the middle.
Well, I'm at 90 now. What's your percentage for Mercedes?
You're at 90?
Uh-huh.
Remember, I told you mine's always going to be 1% more, so I'm at 91 then.
Okay. You're at
so whatever
91.
you are, just add 1.
Yeah, I think it'll be fairly clear what's happening with her by Wednesday afternoon.
January 11th, maybe?
No, by then for sure. But I think Wednesday afternoon, I think will be pretty clear. Hell, I think you may even get
this coming Wednesday afternoon?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I think it should be fairly clear. So either way, I'm at 90% as far as she's concerned, I think. All right. And keep in mind, giving Denise some credit here.
Just I told 2 months, you she wasn't going to be in the Survivor Series.
Just 2 months ago, I was like, nah, man. I'm like 80% sure she's going to be at Survivor Series. And once that didn't happen, my percentage just went whoop. If you haven't seen my interview with Tony Khan, there's one specific moment in there, one specific way he answers a question where he probably could have shut the rumor down and didn't. And considering the way WWE is kind of actively trying to like temper expectations on The Rock right now, because as a company, they're like, oh shit, we don't want people buying tickets based on The Rock right now because we don't know if we got them. And so they're making sure everybody in wrestling media kind of knows, like, hey, stop pushing that Rock narrative right now because we don't know. I feel like Tony would do the same. Oh.
I'm at 99.9%. Okay, I'm going 99.9%. Screw it. That's where I'm at.
Okay. All right. I'll take it. I love it.
Okay, I'm gonna be there at the show, so I'm gonna record my reaction too. But watch it not be Mercedes, and then I'll be like, oh, then you're just gonna have like depression.
Again, though,
you're gonna see like the wave of oh.
Again, as I think wrestling, I think wrestling companies would have shut it down. But that's like it, isn't it? That's all we got, huh?
All right, I believe so, actually. All right, so there you go, guys. That was our show, our after the year final roundup. But seriously, thank you guys so much for tuning in each and every single week. This coming week, the first week of January, we go back to our normal schedule. Our normal schedule is actually Sundays. So just keep an eye out. We will make sure to always tweet the link out. I always post the show well in advance, set up the link that you guys can check it out here on YouTube. Also, since you're already here on the channel, please make sure you guys subscribe. This was probably the best year for my YouTube channel, period. Officially surpassed 80,000 subscribers. I'm hoping to hit 100K next year if the YouTube gods are on my side. So make sure you guys subscribe. I also put up 3 new videos that you guys should check out. One is the 2023 predictions that I did with Sean. We do that video every year, and it's so much fun. And then I also ranked my top 10 favorite WWE matches. Check that one out because I had a really good time making that video. And then I also picked my top 10 AEW moments. So I kind of talk a little bit more about the year in AEW in that video. And those videos take a lot of hours to do because there's just more work that is involved in those. So just go in, maybe even drop a comment, whatever it is. It's much appreciated. Will, please go ahead and plug your stuff.
Yes, definitely check out Grapsity. We still got one more to go this year. We'll be on this Saturday, youtube.com/Fightful. That's tomorrow. I'm also going to be right back on a screen with Denise this coming Monday, hosting the Monday Night Raw post show.
I didn't know. I just found out right now. Where's Sean going to be?
I don't know. Not here. But
you didn't even tell me. I'm finding out right now. Bro.
So either way,
no idea.
Either way, if you can't get enough of Will and Denise, there's more Will and Denise coming up here soon. So there's all of that, and yeah, just keep checking out our content. I am here. I'm William RBR. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, pretty much every platform. I continue to use that name. Denise, what are your New Year's plans?
Oh, well, I'm throwing a little New Year's party, actually. My mom and the kids are coming over, and the kids are gonna spend the night, and so that's kind of my plan. So I'm gonna be kind of babysitting for the New Year. But I'm looking forward to it. And at some point, I gotta go to the store. I gotta go buy stuff because I have nothing yet. I've already ordered the food, but I still need to get like decorations and stuff, and little knickknacks here and there. And I still have to pick up my new camera that I bought. Literally, I just have to cross the street to the store, and I haven't even gone. I haven't even had time to cross the street to go get my new camera. So I got to make sure I get this all done within the next like 48 hours or so.
Yes, get all that done. Me and my kids are just going to have another New Year's. I think I got a friend coming over as well. We usually just like Mario Party it up. Nice. And that's going to be what we do. Although I did just buy WarioWare as well. So we might play that. And doing some, I don't know, it's a bunch of multiplayer shit. We're just gonna play video games and count down, and
even I'm gonna play video games too. Well, I set it up for the kids. I have those old ones that come with like a bunch of games. Those games, the ones that come with like a bunch of games.
Oh,
like
yeah,
50 to 100 games or whatever.
I
put that on for the kids, and they have a blast.
Okay. How young of kids are we talking, by the way?
I mean, they're not kids; they're teenagers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, are you just hosting?
My brothers are 14. My other brother's 15, and then my sister's 17.
Okay,
but so they pretty much talk.
But to you, they're kids. So
they're kids. They're children to me.
Yes.
All
right. Yeah, this is exciting.
Yes,
and I hope you have a safe and happy New Year. Definitely be as safe as possible this New Year, and but at the same time, try to have as much fun as you can and enjoy wrestling in 2023. It's going to be a good time. Anything else?
No, that's it. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. This has been After the Year.